What's good, guys? What's good? I'm back at it. It's your boy Jonesville, man. This morning, I got my light up today, or this afternoon. Earlier, I didn't have it, but we're gonna get straight into it, right? Some things you need to know before you go, and get some very understanding of what child support enforcement is and why you there. So let's start with the basics. Some things you need to know before you go. I'm your host, the most, as my one of my mentors would say. Shout out to Dev Hop. Um, Yeah, like it's some things you need to know before you go. Let's like really dive into it. Let's look at it like this. You're initially being sued. Real talk, you're like initially being sued by the plaintiff, which is your child's mother. But the reason why you are actually there because the way Congress had wrote it and Social Security Administration had wrote it, that your child is the one that's putting you on child support enforcement because they're needy and they're not able to speak for themselves. So way they're looking at it is that the mother shouldn't be up there asking for any type of service if you're doing your part. But we know more than others. This is unpopular opinion or belief, but for me, it's just the way it's systematically set up that way. And when I'm saying systematically set up that way, you have other people who don't really know things, regurgitate things, and generation to generation, it gets handed down. So just strictly looking at it, you got your aunties, your uncles, your grandmas, your cousins telling your child's mother they go down there and put them in on child support, this, that, third. But basically, let's look at it. You ever heard of Judas? How many pieces of silver did Judas sell out Jesus for? Let that sink in your mind because your application is the exact same thing, the price of what Judas paid to sell Jesus out, which is 30 pieces of silver. Some states 25, some states 30. But if you add the wisdom name to it, it's still 30 pieces of silver in my book. But unpopular opinion or belief, that's what you sell your child father out. When you realize there's two Supreme Court cases that tells you that child support is not meant for you, the mother, the father, or the child, who it really is intended for, you're going to be pissed as hell. And you're going to start understanding and starting to slowly open your eyes to see why you're getting your child support money, so-called, that you want to sign up for on a slow basis, and you're not getting the full payment because when you signed up with somebody else to make your father or child's father pay this, they're getting a cut. See, the state don't do shit on your behalf. When you start understanding what your straw man is, ladies and men, you're going to start understanding what that is. They're really saying you're not even a fucking person, really, with that straw man. We are known the flesh. We know we're a human, but your straw man is a fictitious person. And you, the human, is the overseer and the person that's responsible of that fictitious person that they created with that social security number. Okay? It's a 9-digit number. Now, let's stay on facts. Title 4D was born, aka born, and enacted in 1975. Again, it was born. That's what I call it. Born, enacted in 1975. This year is 2024. That is 49 years ago. Okay. Don't believe me. Go do your history because you in 3 minutes in this video. Because I know a lot of people, when they start seeing this, they're going to be like, oh, shit. But then you got some people that be, on the contrary, believe going to be talking shit because they're probably one of them people who's trying to do me wrong. And now that I know, I'm giving it back because I'm great at teaching people and I'm great at breaking shit down. So staying on point. In 1975, this shit was enacted. So 1975 to 2024, there's no way that anybody in that program can not say that they don't know how the fucking shit goes or how the shit is broke down and what are the rules and regulations, the guidelines and policy. Okay. And to make sure that you know that I'm telling the truth, I want you to go look at the state plan for child support enforcement. Okay. You want to know those codes? Holler at me because I'll tell you exactly what the plan says. But here's one by heart that I know. You go to 45 CFR 303.107, lowercase c in parentheses. It'll tell you that all of them have to comply with it. It's not optional. It's whenever they feel like it. No. The Social Security Administration told them that they have to follow the act. Okay? Now let's get something else understood. Your child support agency is a single, separate, standalone agency. They have nothing to do with the federal government. They are employed by the federal government by a way of a contract, like a 1099. That's all they are. They're doing business. Two or more people are what you call a service of doing business. If it was just between you and that person, that means y'all would have a contract. But see, how in the hell did you get put in a contract that you didn't even get disclosure of? I need you to start understanding that. Just like when you go buy a car, they got to give you disclosures, what you signed up and what you agreed to pay, this, that, and the third. So again, we're going to stay on what this really is, some facts you need to go. Okay. Page 561, section 8 of the Child Support Enforcement Manual tells you judicial judges are not allowed to participate in these hearings. It is unlawful. Cannot do it. So what do they have? They have commissioners. They have a federal court, judge pro tem, support masters. Support masters are not judged. Google it and look at the word, what it tell you. You will be amazed at what that support master really is. And then you're going to say, hold on. So you mean tell me you don't got no power, but you want me? Why am I even here? That's what you should be asking. So it's quite funny that you get to that thing. So let's see what Title 4D was, since it was born in 1975. It had to have original date. The original date for that shit was 1935. It was called public welfare. And all public welfare essentially means that the father side of the family wouldn't come to take care of that child, and the mother side of the family wouldn't come to take care of that child. So that leads it to the state. That's why they say your child is a ward of the state, meaning that no side of the family was going to take care of that child. So what it created was a problem for the state, because the state now has to take care of this child. We move along through time. It came to people who needed Medicaid, Medicare, whatever, or assistance. Now, with that being said, it was a term called AFDC or ADFC, the Aid of Dependents of Needy Families. Needy Aid for Families for Dependent Children. Aid for Dependent Families Children. So if your child was dependent or going to be needy, that's what AFDC was for. Fast forward to 1975, where we arrived at now, and in present day time, because it hasn't really been that many changes until 1984, the year I was born, 40 years ago. Now watch this shit. Congress poorly wrote that motherfucking goddamn clause simply because they found a loophole. When you understand that child support is only for the families who have an absent father, there's 2 Supreme Court cases that tells you this. I know where they at. But you're going to need more than that, because you're going to need to understand how, okay, why you ain't say nothing then, why this, that, and the third, why, whatever. But the main part of the meat and potatoes is, have you really abandoned your child? And if you did, why were you convicted of it? How was you not convicted of it? Because you never went to a state court. State court means district court. That means you was tried in front of a jury of 12 of your peers, or you was tried before a judge, a Article 3 judge, not no support magistrate. Start understanding who has the power to adjudicate. Adjudicate means to make decisions and choices, okay? Also, before you get to somewhere, just like these child support hearings, there's something called Rule 73, Federal Rules of Civil Procedures, Rule 73, meaning that a magistrate judge is really supposed to have your consent before you get to that court, and the clerk of court is supposed to file that to make sure that you sign a paper giving this support magistrate permission to consent over your case. But see how a lot of y'all are getting tricked is something called maritime law. When you understand that maritime law is basically another way that they trick you to actually to get your consent. And when the judge says, quote, blah, 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 do you understand me? What he initially is saying is, do you stand under me? Like, am I your superior? Am I the big kahuna? Am I the boss man? And when you say, yes, I do, that means you just consent to his authority and whatever his ruling is. They tricked you in coercion or duress. So how did you get tricked? And how did you get coerced? Funny that you asked. When you understand that that man having on that apron, that black apron, is merely a distraction. Attorney dress in a suit, don't he? He or she has on casual attire or business attire. But when they're in that so-called fake courtroom, which you're not so really supposed to be in, that's the duress and the coercion because you're being tricked at that time, unbeknownst to you because you don't know no better. You don't know no better. Why do you think they go so hard to trick you? Because if you knew what it was, would you be talking to an attorney like they had no right? Like you wouldn't even talk to an attorney on the street. You'll keep walking. You'll keep pushing along. But when the whole thing about it is, it's some things you need to know before you go. Like I said initially, they're suing you. Well, your child mother or the child is suing you. And you like, ain't this about a bitch? It is. It really is. But I'm going to tell you what you do need to do is, let's talk to the gentleman that before they're about to get on child support. The first thing you should do, this is not legal advice. No, I can't represent you. This is just a real opinion. I would do, take my trusted in pen, object, reject, send it back to the center where it came from. Send it back. Write a letter out of that telling them stop communicating with you because you have not abandoned your child. One. Number two, you have not wanted to contract with them anyway because you already know what it is because you done got with your boy today and I'm telling you what this shit is. You don't want to fuck with them. Stop fucking with me. Period. Stop fucking with me. Now, if you're a person that's already in the system and you getting there, the code that you need to understand is 45 CFR 302.70, required state laws. And what you want to go down to is number 5 in parentheses, then 3 little I's in parentheses. When you read that, it's going to tell you everything you need to know. When they go to the establishment of paternity, which is 45 CFR 303.5, go down to the lowercase g where it says voluntary paternity establishment programs. You go to 2, and I want you to, it's the number 2, and I want you to go to numeral 3 and 3 little small i's, room number 3, and then the little small I and the V, which is room number 4. Read both of them. Because number 3 tells you in that Roman number, you got to have a safeguard. And they never provide you with it. They never provide you with it. So now we got 3 CFR codes that I just named in this video for free. But you got to put this shit together. See, if you're a guy that got multiple children, you're like me. There's something else they don't want to hear, don't want to see. Something called RICO. There's something called RICO activity, RICO pattern of activity. When somebody's doing something multiple times and it's more than one case. What you're doing right now is essentially getting extorted to get to see your child. Okay. And what happens when you get extorted to see your child is ridiculous to me because I'm trying to figure out how in the fuck am I getting extorted to see my own child? Because number one, I didn't want to contract with you in any shape and form or fashion. So what we got to understand is this right here. Simple and plain. I can't. You got to forgive me because I got some stuff going on in the background. But stay on point. You got to ask yourself, how are you getting extorted? What is extortion? That code is 25 CFR 11.417. That is called extortion. So what does extortion mean, Jonesville? Extortion simply means this: a person who shall willfully, by making false charges against another person or by any other means whatsoever, extort or attempt to extort. It says extort or attempt to extort any monies, goods, property, or anything else of value shall be guilty of extortion, a misdemeanor. So, what are you getting extorted every time to see your week to see your child? Money. Money. What is a thing of value? And I was saying not money per se, but the wages that you earn on your job. That's your property. Them your wages. You're getting extorted every week, or bi-weekly if you get paid, or monthly. You're getting extorted. Like, really, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you good. You're getting extorted because it was false charges. So, because you can ask yourself, when did you abandon your child? When did you abandon your child? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. And then on top of that, you got to ask yourself this other question too. How is it that it get to this point? So it's funny that you said it. It's like, well, that's fraud. Glad you asked that. Glad you said it. So let's look at fraud. 25 CFR 11-415. And let me break down what CFR means. CFR means Code of Federal Regulations. Okay. Code of Federal Regulations. And when I want to break that code down to you, and we'll not break it down to you. I'm gonna say it to you. I'm gonna break it down to you after the fact. 25 CFR 11-415 states a person who shall willfully misrepresentation or deceit or by false interpreting or by use of false weights or measurements obtain any money or other property shall be guilty of fraud and misdemeanor. So false representation of them bringing you there based off of hearsay. Hearsay. Because when did you get tried and proved in a state court? When was the injury in fact brought by the mother, aka the plaintiff, to show her injuries? Because whenever you go to show your receipts or whatever, do not let somebody trick you or tell you that, no, those are gifts. Objection should be the first word come out your mouth. How are you to tell me what my child money or what I give them are gifts? You're not the biological parent. Well, it comes to you. But I never asked for your services. How about that? I don't want it. What y'all got to start understanding, before your name was a name, you was a man. Genesis 1:26 proved that. So if you think I'm lying, I'll read it to you in short-term form because it's already on my computer and I can get to you right here. So we're gonna go to Google. We're gonna hit Genesis 1:26. I'm gonna read for the King James Version. King James Version reads, and it says, quote, and God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So essentially, he just told you in so many other words that he just said, come, let us make man in our own image, because you're like God in his image. Then it says he's over everything over in the air. Fowl is birds, stuff of things that float through the air. Fish are in the sea, so you over and govern over the sea. Then on top of that, it tells you for every cattle, that means mammals, stuff that's breeding, and every creeper thing, insects, snakes, whatever. That is the ruler and dominion that you are, the living man. And you got to keep saying the living man, because when did you consent to have somebody else rule over you? They need your consent, because every man and woman are born in this country, not this country, but in North America, because the United States is just nothing but a corporation when you understand that. But again, staying on point, you're created equal, born free. So when did you give up your consent to be ruled over by somebody else? Well, that's what they always tell my mom. No, because they didn't know then. 2024 ain't got no excuse to not know what the fuck you need to know now. 2024 is no excuse for you to be around other people who don't like you and you don't like them. There's no reason for you to be in that person's company. Like I broke down earlier, you know why certain companies get away from other people? Because it's bad for business. So if somebody's bad for you, got to get away from you. You can't let the good fruit get fucked upon when it's bad fruit in the bunch. That's why they said do not let one bad apple spoil the bunch. And that's where it's coming down from. So initially, stay on point. You know that you're being sued. You know that they're not following the regulations. They didn't even start at the hospital, which is 45 CFR 302.70, requires state laws, and they're not providing you due process safeguards. They're not providing none of that shit as we speak. I'm 20 minutes into this video, and you done got a lot. It's like a whirlwind, and I understand I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? Been on this path, but I'm here to help you speed up your process because I'm going to tell you somebody's thought process is so fucked up here in today's time because they really think where somebody's foot is your ceiling when it actually should be their ceiling is where your beginning begins, because overnight they could put all them years of experience into you in one night so you could carry it forward. But that's the selfish way of people thinking in this world and in this motherfucking this so-called North American syndrome. The saying is reach one, teach one. When that person teach one, they're going to understand. And I'll be using this quote all the time. And I hope you pay attention. It's either you survive in the jungle or you exist in the zoo. But keep it in mind, when you exist in the zoo, you eat when they tell you to eat. But when you survive in the jungle, you eat anytime you want to, free of your domain. It's the exact same thing as when you learn in elementary or middle school. Teach a man a fish, he eat for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, he's going to eat for a day, but he's going to be waiting on you. See, when you get in your bag and you start knowing what this is, you're going to be like me and many others that came before me. See, I'm just Noah. My job is just to tell you. Ain't my job to get you believe me, but I can tell you this, and it's a guarantee. Keep going down there and fucking with them folk. You got no business being in a courtroom. You got no business being in there. And that child mother of yours, stop arguing with her. That's y'all biggest problem. It's easier said than done. Stop talking, going back and forth. If it ain't about your child, whatever this and that, and keep it to a minimum. And if I was you, here's something, friendly advice. Something that's gonna make your life easier. Communicate through email, because guess what? You can't duck an email. It has a time, a date, everything. And it's gonna show what they said and yours said, because them texts can get altered. Now it's gonna be like, hey, it's either you did or you didn't do it. Stop trying to look. Proof beyond reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt means it's left up to speculation. You gotta prove it. Proof beyond reasonable doubt means you have hardcore evidence. It's hard to duck something that comes from a person's cell phone number. Hard to duck something that comes from an actual video, actual surveillance camera. It's hard to duck something that comes from an email because it's linked to them. You know, it's hard to duck DNA, Dana, as some people call it. Because wherever that blood trait is at, you're going to find that person. It's going to lead you right back to them. It's just like when a person walk in your house with damn money ass shoes, and it's going to be a trail right back to you. Everybody else's shoes in here clean, but your shoes the only one got mud on. Your grandma always used to say, it all come clean out in the washing machine. Sometimes you got to wash your sins away. But the way you wash your sins away, you stand on business, stand 10 toes down. Real spill, like I'm telling you only what you know, but put it in a form of a sense speaking that, hey, we got more information than we ever had, and then it's coming to me quick and fast and staying on point. Man, like I said, if you got anything from this video today, cash at me at $JONESVLLE84. That's capital J with the dollar sign in front, capital JONESVILLE84. Consultation starts at 30 minutes for $60, an hour conversation, which is 60 minutes for $100. I guarantee you a simple conversation will get some strength any day of the week. I guarantee. Blue Magic, that's my shit. I guarantee. I stand on. That's me. That's my product. That's me. That's what that is. I'll leave you with this right here, and you can Google it. State versus Miller. North Carolina Supreme Court held June 9th, 2017. Ignorance of the law, and I'm gonna paraphrase it as well as I can, but you can go look it for yourself. Ignorance of the law excuses not. Ignorance of the law excuses no one. Merely because someone don't know the context of the law does not excuse them for the violations and the consequences of that law. Because you know how people are screaming, "Oh, I didn't know it." No. Like one of my friends would say, elders would say, you can ignore it. You can literally be ignorant to the facts, but you cannot be ignorant to a law because the law was already written before you even got to where you got to. All you do was Google some shit, ask Siri, ask Alexa, go look at a book. But see, that's why they go hire them attorneys. But see, when you hire an attorney for these type of situations, bruh, I can show you where it says child support cases with these attorneys, their first duty is to the court, then in public, then you last. But you spending $5,000 because they all took an oath on something. They took an oath. And they're never gonna throw that shit down just because you getting. See, what y'all gotta understand is the law is a law. The law don't care about morals or whatever. The law is the law. That's why common law ruled the land. That's why it says it's over the whole land. That's when they came out with the jurisprudence, which is equity, because they knew the laws were so harsh and stone that they got to find equity in it. So here's the thing, and I'm going to show you how equity came in today's time, because if you did something back in the biblical days and it wasn't what you were supposed to do, what did them people do to death for you? Stoned you to death. Because the law was the law. You broke the law. But he didn't mean to do it. Okay, that's where the jurisprudence come in. So you ain't there to argue any facts. You just there to argue jurisdiction. See, a lot of your cases don't have standing and they don't have personal jurisdiction because when did you consent? Only thing can be taken from you, which is your Fifth Amendment, like Dev would say, shout out to Dev Hop. Your Fifth Amendment is everything because only thing can be taken from you is only by due process, which is your Fifth Amendment. Your life, your liberty, and your property. Come on. See, what you got to understand, nobody can seize nothing from you without reasonable cause or a warrant. That's your Fourth Amendment right. Can't take your paperwork, can't take you, can't take your home, can't take your car without a warrant. See, when y'all be getting your car repossessed and all this other shit and your house repossessed, you signed over that right at that time, but you're not reading your contracts. I'm breaking this shit down in real time. That's why it's called, they got to give you the fucking disclosure. That's why it's called the Fair Truth in Lending Act. You got to be truthful in what you're lending and the act of what you're doing. There's only 3 laws in America. 1, do not injure or kill nobody. 2, do not steal or damage nobody's property. 3, last but not least, be honest in all your dealings and do not try to swindle nobody, mean fraud them. I mind the business that pays me well because it's free 99. Don't cost me a damn thing. When you start minding your business, and then I'm going to tell you, my fellas and young ladies, it ain't worth that 15, 10 minutes. And these days, it ain't even lasting that long. But it ain't worth the headache. Because we know right now, men and women, you know how many people can go back to the past if we can just not sleep with that person, whatever. But it's a lot of people coming off that list. It's a lot of people. And I'm probably be somebody here, and I'm not cliche to say that I'm probably not be on somebody else's list. I probably am. But truth and believe, I probably never wanted to be on that list in the first place. So it is what it is. I could take constructive criticism. I can be agree to disagree with, but I will not be in any shape or form disrespected. That's just what it is. See, I don't gotta prove something to somebody because see, I'm more smarter now, more gifted, got people who are around me. I don't got 2 minutes to be beating somebody's ass to spend 25 years in prison because I'm trying to prove to a simple ass motherfucker that they ain't. I'm gonna tell you what somebody told me. The quickest way you get somebody off your ass, want them to leave alone, go put papers on them. See what happens. Go start fucking with their money, see what happens. They'll leave you the fuck alone because they know it's bad for business. They tell you, eating a drug game, they'll tell you, going to war, man, is bad for business because that shit costs. That's bodies and funerals and all the other shit. It ain't worth it. So just stay out the way. It don't mean that you fucking scared. It don't mean that you pussy all the goddamn time. That's not what that fucking means, bro. It means that you can use this up here between that down there. But it's been real, boy. Like I said, in my slogan, if you want to be back at home, left alone on your throne, pick up the phone. It's your boy DJ Jonesville, aka I'm out. Peace. Y'all have a good week, man.